What stool? Once upon a time, a long time ago, long before birds could fly aeroplanes, and long before fish could swim. Now then, deep in the forest, in the woods, near where I live two children called Handel and Kettle. Now these two characters were very good at coming up with tunes. That's words, songs without words. They would purse their lips and belt out some cracking tunes. People came from back and beyond. They come from down street. They come from everywhere. They come from Hong Kong. Hong Kong? Yes, because it doesn't make any difference. When you whistle, it doesn't matter. There's not a language barrier. It doesn't matter. People all over the world love tunes like Blue Danube and things like that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There were a couple of tearaway ducks called Horace and Boris, who were not impressed by this tuneful duo because they used to be number one whistling act for years until Milado, Handel and Kettle turned up. Aye, they did. Yeah. And, hang on a minute, they weren't too pleased having to play second whistle to a tin kettle and a wig-wearing melon with a toot-tweet tone. They decided to do something about it. The Whistling Ducks came up with a plan to lure Handel and Kettle away from their worktops, the kitchen worktops, and take them deep into the forest in the woods so nobody could hear them whistling. Now that's not very nice, is it? But Kettle overheard their plan that they'd hatched to get rid of Handel and herself. So crafty little Kettle had a plan of her own. She laid a trail of tea bags on the forest floor. The next day, when she was out with the ducks, deep in the forest in the woods, Kettle was confident that they could find their way back home. When the ducks heard Handel and Kettle whistling the next morning, they couldn't believe it. They were spitting feathers. Feathers were everywhere. They couldn't understand how they'd got out of the forest and woods when it took them half the night to get back to their beds even, and they had a map. This time they were determined not to make a mistake. They hid all the tea bags. They locked them away so they couldn't be found. And when they went on their walk in the forest the next day, but Kettle had outsmarted them again. She used sugar cubes, just in case they got separated. And they did get separated, but there was a downpour, and it put paid to Kettle and Handel's chance of getting back home the proverbial way. I got that right. You didn't. I did. You didn't. I did. The proverbial way. Hungry and cold, they wandered further into the forest, deep into the forest, before they stumbled upon a caravan in a clearing against some trees. But this was no ordinary caravan. It was a Dunkin' Biscuit caravan. There were all kinds of biscuits, and now they were so amazed at the sight of the caravan that they didn't notice the old witch appearing. "Hello," said the old witch. "What you doing in woods and forest?" She wasn't happy. She'd lived there a long time on her own. What brings you into the woods, she said. Handel answered at once. His tummy was rumbling, thinking of all the food. We are lost, madame, he said. We've been whistling for hours and hours. We're hungry and tired. We need a bed. The old witch's eyes lit up at the news that they were lost and tired. So what she did, she broke off a piece of shortbread off the shortbread door. It was a door that was made of shortbread. You know what I mean. You know, she broke off a piece of the short and she gave it to Kettle. It's good, yes. And then she went into some kind of a dance. She went, is there anything else you'd like? Is there anything else you'd like? Perhaps you fancy beans and toast. Perhaps you fancy an egg. And here's this apple pie. Here's this apple pie. And here's some grapes to match. And here's a barrel to wheel them home. Is there anything else you'd like? Well, she was terrible. She went meat pies, pork pies, rabbit pies, haggis pies, savoury pies, fish pies, all kinds of pies, steak and kidney pies, meat and pygmy pies, my eyes. So many pies. As Handel and Kettle thought about the mountain of pies, the old witch looked at Handel with the hungriest of eyes. Melon pie is one thing she had always wanted to taste. Are they gluten-free, said Handel. He has an allergy, you see, said Kettle. An allergy? What to? Apple pies, rabbit pies, meat pies? To what? No, not what. To wheat to what? No, don't be so silly, said the old witch. She says, wheat, wheat, oh my aching feet. All my pies have wheat. This is what makes them so neat. And she was carrying on like this. So pies are out, she said. Fine. You know, free food happens to be my latest line. She was talking gibberish. You know, take a seat, eat me wheat. It's an allergy free. So she just kept talking like this. It was ridiculous. You know, allergies are bad. It says so on the door. It said so on the door. Allergies are bad. And it did say it on the door. No, let's be serious. Let's be serious. It did say it on the door. You know, it said allergies are bad. So Handel and Kettle were very hungry. So they went inside the Dunkin' Biscuit caravan. I can't believe they went inside, but they did. They peeped through the perforated biscuit door and the wall to spy on the witch, who was hard at work eating up the oven to bake a handle-shaped pie. Kettle had to think fast if she was to save their bacon. Then she had an idea that might help the situation. She said to Handel, Handel, whistle all the Great Escape themes that you know. So between them, they were both whistling up a storm as Kettle's steaming spout started to melt the biscuit house. The witch pounced in to put an end to all these chums. But as she entered, they hit a big C. The vibration from that note sent the biscuit caravan crashing down by her ears. And her nose, she had a big nose. Now, I suppose you are wondering if Handel and Kettle ever found their way home. Well, after all I've told you, to be honest, I was really hoping you could tell me, because I haven't a clue. And I never did have a clue about Handel and Kettle. I just know that they could sing, they could whistle,